In this lesson, we will talk about dividing fractions. So a couple of really quick important things to note. First of all, we do need to remember that we do not need common denominators. Okay? Similar to multiplication. We actually are going to have a very similar process to multiplication for dividing fractions because the rules are to keep, change, flip. Now, when it comes to the SBAC and other state standardized tests, this flip will often be marked with words like reciprocal, or multiplicative inverse. The multiply, right? Multiplying opposite, inverse means opposite. Okay? So the three rules are to keep, change, flip. One example, we have 8/9 divided by 4/9. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to keep the first term. So we start with k, all right? Keep 8/9, exactly what it was. The first term is always going to stay what it was. When it comes to division, we cannot switch the terms around and still have the same response, so make sure you always keep the first term in particular. Then we are going to change our sign. So instead of division, we're going to use multiplication, the opposite of our division, okay? And the last one is to flip or find the reciprocal or multiplicative inverse. So I'm going to take this 4/9 fraction and I'm going to turn it over. So instead of 9 being the denominator, it will now be the numerator. And instead of 4 being the numerator, it will now be the denominator. At this point, we have a multiplication problem similar to all of the other multiplication problems we've been practicing for the last couple of lessons. So I have two options here. I can either multiply across 8 times 9 and then 9 times 4 and get 72 over 36. Or I can simplify before and then simplify from there. Or I can simplify before. Those 9s would cancel out to get 1s. And the 8 and the 4 would cancel out to get a 2 and a 1. Okay? And 2 times 1 over 1 times 1 gives me 2. 72 divided by 36 is also 2, which is my final answer. Another example we can use is 1/3 divided by 1/4. So remind yourself really quick, what are my 3 steps to dividing fractions? That is keep, change, flip. All right, so I have 1/3, I'm keeping it, change division to multiplication, and flip the last fraction to 4 over 1 in this case, and then we simply multiply, okay? 1 times 4 is 4, 3 times 1 is 3. I can leave it like this, that is a simplest form, or I can change this into a mixed number. Just a quick reminder to change into a mixed number. See, how many times does the denominator go into the numerator? So 3 goes into 4 one whole time. And if I take 3 away from 4, I have 1 remaining out of the 3 left. One last example, we have 1 2/3 divided by 2/3. Now, my KCF is going to work with me here. However, when it comes to division, we cannot use mixed numbers. Division is one specific example of a time where we have to use improper fractions, okay? Multiplication, there is a way to use the distributive property, which we can discuss later in the school year, but when it comes to division, we want to use improper fractions here, okay? So, to turn this number into an improper fraction, by the way, it's because of reciprocals and stuff like that, so I just want to make sure that that's clear. So we have 1 2/3. So what I'm going to do, as I pointed out in another video, is I'm going to either get mad or I'm going to use the C method. Both of those are options, okay? So the C method and mad are kind of together. We multiply the denominator times the whole number, which is 3. We add it to the numerator, plus 2, and replace the denominator, or divide, which is 3. So I end up with 5/3. We now have to change the division to multiplication, And finally, I'll flip the last fraction to 3 over 2. To multiply here, I have a couple of options. I can either multiply across and then simplify, or I can simplify first and then multiply. I'm going to simplify first. I prefer that personally. 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. So again, this is an option. 5 halves is a completely valid fraction. But if you need a mixed number for your answer, I will see that 2 goes into 5 2 whole times. And if I take 2 away from 5 twice, so 5 minus 2 is 3, and then 3 minus 2, again, would be 1. I have 1 half left. So both of these are options. Go ahead and practice. Do your best, and if you have any questions, make sure to ask the teacher.